Hey everyone, it's Niamh here from Better Workday, and today I am talking about how to review and reset your goals. So you have set your goals and you have been working on them for quite some time now, and it's time to pause and assess where you're at and to decide if you need to course correct going forward. This is really important because while we set our plans when the goals are first made, things rarely work out as expected. And if we never course correct, we could end up in a very different place to where we wanted to. Taking the opportunity right now to take a step back, look at where we're at, and make some changes will really increase the chances of you being successful in achieving that goal. So let's get into it. The first thing we want to know is, where are you right now in terms of your progress? Not where you'd like to be, not where you thought you would be, but where you are. So take a step back and think about where you are in terms of the goal achievement. What has gone well for you? So what worked out really well? What went as planned or as expected? But also ask yourself this: what didn't go as planned? So what surprises came up along the way? What curveballs were you thrown? What was unexpected? We need to know both to inform our decisions about how to move forward. Now, based on that, I'd like you to be honest with yourself in how confident you are that you will achieve your goal if you continue to follow your current plan. This might be highly confident, which is great, but sometimes, a lot of the time, the confidence is lower. And that's for a number of reasons. Things have changed, the plan hasn't moved as quickly or has gone in a different direction, and really, you know more. Now that you've started working towards your goal, you know more about the journey, you know more about what's involved. So it's okay if you're no longer as confident in the plan as you once were, because now it's time to update it. Before we get into any of that though, we need to make sure that we have the space to actually work towards the goal. If I looked at your calendar right now, what would it say? What would it tell me? Is there time blocked in there every day or every week for your goals? Or are you trying to fit it in after everything else? Because believe me when I say, if you're trying to fit it in, it's the first thing that gets pushed out when you get busy. Now, depending on the size of your goal, you will want to be prioritizing more or less time. But think of it this way. Let's say you're working on a quarterly goal, a 12-week, and you're going to spend 2 hours a week on that goal. That means you've got 24 hours in total to do all of the actions and all of the work that you've planned. Now, contrast this to if you decide to spend 1 hour every day for the next 12 weeks working towards your goal. That's going to give you 60 hours. I'm not saying which answer is correct. What I'm saying here is you need to be realistic in terms of the size of the goal, the amount of effort it's going to take, and ask yourself, are you matching this with the time that's blocked out in your calendar to work towards it? If not, that is the first thing that we are going to adjust or correct now. The next step is to look at your workload and decide what is going to stay and what needs to go in order for you to achieve your goals, because not everything can be done at once. You'll start by looking at your week, the next 7 days, and map out your working hours, Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, or whatever they are. Fill in that week with anything you've already committed to doing, so meetings and tasks that you've already set time aside for. Then add in anything on your to-do list that isn't already on your calendar. And then check to see if your goal work is included in any of that. If you can't fit everything onto the page, you're never going to be able to fit it all into the week, because you only have a certain amount of hours every day. This is going to show you the size of the time gap that you have. So you might be short 1 or 2 hours in the week. You might be short 5. This really helps you to get clear on how much you have overcommitted, if you have, on other tasks. And now we can decide which of those must stay and which of those must go in order for you to be successful. Now, when I say go, I don't mean that they get deleted. What I mean is you won't be doing them right now. So they might also get done by somebody else. So you might delegate them, or you might be deferring them. So we do have more than one option here. To help decide what action is best for each piece of your work, you can step through the workload review. A workload review means listing all of your tasks out on a page, and next to them writing down how much work you have completed against them already. Is it halfway done? Is it 90%? Is it 95%? Is it 0%? And then you're going to write down roughly how much time you're going to have to take to complete it. So is it a small task that will only take 5 to 10 minutes? Or is it a big task that's going to take 4 hours? And then you ask yourself, what is the impact if this work doesn't get done? When you have added everything to the list, it's time to decide what can be deleted. So is there any work that has been not started or only partially completed that really isn't that important anymore? Can you delete it? You're then going to see, is there anything that can be delegated? So is there anything there that is important, so it needs to be done, but it can be done by somebody other than you? Then is there anything that can be deferred? So these are things that are best done by you, but they don't need to be done right now. And then finally, you're left with the things that you need to do. When that is done, you need to take a look at the work that you've planned to achieve your goal and make sure that that is still correct, that there's nothing that you've learned from this process so far that is going to change them and make the steps more effective. So far, you have done a lot of work to understand where you are and to clear space so that you can make progress in the weeks ahead. Now it's time to communicate those changes or proposed changes to other people. Make a list of everyone who will be impacted by these changes. So changes to your goals and changes to other work that you might be deferring, delegating or deleting. For each person, understand how these changes will impact them or their work. Decide when you're going to tell them about the changes and the best way to communicate with them. So some people might be a phone call, others might be an email. At the end of it, you will have what I call a stakeholder communication plan to let everybody know. It doesn't matter if this is a list of 2 people or 200. What matters is that you consider the people who are going to be impacted by your changes and let them know proactively, rather than making the changes, seeing what happens, and maybe causing problems or issues down the road. The last step in this process is to set aside time for your next review and then take a step back, make yourself a cup of tea or coffee and reflect on this process. What have you learned? And what are you going to do differently in the weeks and months ahead to ensure your next review is even better? That's it from me. As always, if you have any questions, please let me know. And until next time, stay well and have a better workday.